Well, got bad news today. This is the U2000 that I've been talking about recently, about the number 7 of 7 from the recent Worlds of Fun haul. And I got it fully rebuilt, new flyback, cap kit, full reflow, the whole 9 yards. And I was going through some testing and I realized it wouldn't focus. And I thought, okay, that's odd. So I took the neck board off to look to see maybe the focus pin was bent or something like that. I made sure I didn't have my wires backwards on the flyback. And wouldn't you know it, the focus pin is stuck inside the socket right there. Now I didn't notice that when I was doing the rebuild. I noticed it, and I didn't notice it until I went to check it, and I had no focus control. I took the neck board back off, and yep, the focus pin broke off the tube, and it's stuck in the neck board. Can I get this out of here? Let's see here. Yep, there it is. And if we gently remove, this is why it's very important. It's very important not to wiggle. You don't want to wiggle your neck board off. You want to grab it and support it on the back side and the front and take it off straight, because this will happen. Now I don't know if somebody in the past did a bunch of wiggling on it, but old and brittle I can't say, but the pin is gone. So there is a way to fix this. I'm going to try and do it and show you here. What you want to do is remove this guide off of the pins. Now a lot of times it's held in there with like a caulk type of thing, so you want to be very careful. Throw some get some isopropyl alcohol, squirt it in there, let it do its magic to loosen up that glue, and then you can just wiggle off this guide just like that. The guide pulls right off. Let me get you a better setup here so you can see it. Okay, so I'll put this back on, and you can see the glue in there. It's a white, well, it's more like a caulk type of thing that won't get disturbed by the heat. So I'll put that back on. So that's how it is normally. And you can, I took some alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, and sprayed it down in there, let it sit for a few minutes, and then it just wiggled right off. So you can do that, take this and get it off. Be careful, you don't want to bend any more of the pins. So there's the protective guide, and it's not necessary for operation of the monitor, it's just to keep the pin straight. So now if we zoom in, we can clearly see that we have a busted pin right there. This guy right here is our busted focus pin right there. And you know, there is a way to fix this, but you have to be careful you don't take away too much of the glass, or you'll induce air into the tube and then it's a paperweight. So let's get my chair out here. Let's scrape away on this glass, and I'll show you how I do this. I have had success in the past with this. But the problem is, once you get this fixed, it's kind of like, well, you never want to remove the neck board again because it'll just come off. But we'll see if we can make this work here. So I'm going to just scrape away on this to try and expose as much of the pin as possible. It's still pretty deep in there, but that's somewhat flush. So now what I'm going to do is get my fiberglass pin, my fiberglass scratch pin. A lot of guys have these quote-unquote fiberglass pins that aren't actually fiberglass. Well, this is actually fiberglass, and let me zoom out here. I'll put a link down below. But it's actually a real fiberglass scratch pin used for automobile repair. Wish I could get in closer for you, but that's about the limit. Alright, so then we can take our fiberglass pin and see if we can rough up the surface of that pin, because without getting the coating, there's a coating on the pin, And if we don't take that coating away, we're not going to be able to solder to it. That's the whole idea of this, is to be able to solder to it. And I don't think we actually got in there. We may have to scrape a bit more away here. And this is just a retractable Olfa knife is all I'm using on that. You can use any kind of knife you want to, but trying to scrape away the surface of that pin there. Because we're not going to be able to solder to it if it's got the coating on it still. So let's see if we can get this to work. We're going to take a little flux paste here and just kind of pack that in there. And we'll get our solder and our iron. See if we can somewhat tin this down in there. If it doesn't work, we'll have to clean it up and go scraping a bit more again, but nope, not even close. We have a lot more to scrape away in there. Okay, well, let's get a little alcohol on there and clean this up a bit and get back to it. It didn't break off flush at the glass. It broke off deep inside the glass, and this is just not working out too well. I don't want to. This is just such a good. It had such a good image before this happened that I don't want to give up on the old girl so just quite yet here. If we can get solder to stick to it, then we're home free. That's where we're. That's what is hinging on this success. Is being able to get solder to stick to that puppy. And it's always a gamble here. It's just too far down in there. I can't scrape off enough of the coating on the pin to get it to accept any solder. Nope. Gotta keep going. Maybe? Nope, not quite. But I think we're getting there. Possibly. I'm on the pin. I am scraping the pin now. Alright, get in there, you rascal. Maybe I can try. It's just, this is too broad of a, man, that's too broad of a weapon. I need something that I can use to get in there a bit more. But I'm definitely on the edge of the pin now. The question is, I gotta be able to tin it, or the broken off pin won't solder to it. It just won't. There's no reason to even try. I think we may have some success here. But I'm not holding my breath. Looks like we got it at 10 there a little bit. Does it look like that to you? Looks like that to me. So let's grab our pin that broke off and see if we can scrape a little bit of that off here. And we got to get the edge here. What I really should do is scuff this up here on the bench. Ah, see, now we have a nice shiny surface here to try and solder to. I don't know if you can tell, but it's hard to see on camera, sorry, but alright, so now let's grab a little flux on the end of here, see if we can tin this slightly. Alright, now we need to figure out some way for me to be able to hold on to this while we do this here. Now, of course, your mileage will always vary with something like this, but we're going to try our damnedest to get this to work here. And I don't think it's going to. There was some solder on the end of there. You can't always bring these back because for this particular instance it is way in there. And nope. I gotta work on this a bit more. There's just not enough of the pin exposed, you rat bastard. Okay. I'm gonna work on this a bit more, and I'm going to cut away, work on it a bit more, and when I get a little bit more of that pin exposed, I'll come back. Alright, so I did a little bit more grinding on this, and it's just not going to happen. The pin is broken off, way too recessed down in there, and even if I was able to scrape it away and get some solder to stick to it and get this pin on there, as soon as I put the neck board on, it'd likely just break off again. So I tried to salvage it in a normal way, and it's just not possible. So we're going to go the alternate method. I'm going to actually put a wire. I'm going to solder a wire onto that pin that's exposed there, and then we're going to wrap the other end around and solder it to the back of the neck board. So this is the alternate method that tends to work, that I have used in the past when trying to get the pin back in just does not work. Sometimes, depending on where the pin is broken off at, you can actually just solder the pin back on if you expose enough of the... Look at that. I got it on there, but it's loose. Yeah, let's hit it again here. And nope. Nope, had it in there, and then got a bit too cocky there. Get a little bit more solder on my wire. And let's try this again here. Now, I can't stress enough importance on this about scraping away the coating on the pin that's exposed and getting some flux on there to get this to stick. I had it, but it was wobbly. I dare say we got it. We got it. Look at that. Ha ha ha! Look at the wire wiggling it around, and it's secure. I don't want to wiggle it too much. But that is absolute. You can't solder it to glass, so there's nothing for it to be soldered to except that stub of a pin. So now what we need to do is I'd like to put some type of epoxy on there, or maybe a dab of super glue. That might be what I do here. A little dab will do you. There we go. Now let's wait about 10 minutes or so for that glue to dry. And then I'm fairly confident that the alternate method here will gain us some results. So in a perfect world, we would be able to take our neck board and plug our neck board onto our neck, and then just take this wire and run it around and solder to the back of the neck board. So what we'll do here is that still a bit wet? Yeah. I'll give that some time to dry, but I also want to take this while it's still a bit wet and put this on here. That way this will hold it in place. Let's do that, and then make sure that it's still connected by taking this back off. It is in fact still connected. Hot dog. Let's take a look. There you go. And if we wiggle this around, I think we're going to be good to go. Yep. Okay. So let's get this back on here. Oop. There we go. Let's get this back on here. Sometimes easier said than done. Got it. I heard, oh, it was that. Okay, I heard a noise. I think we're going to be in business, boys and girls. Salvaging a broken pin. Actually, I guess salvaging a tube with a broken pin. Because I'm sure the number of people that had a busted pin like this on a tube have thrown their tube away when there was a way to repair it. So we tried to scrape the glass away, expose enough of the stub to scrape off the coating on the pin and solder the original pin to it, but there just wasn't enough of the stub left sticking out to be able to do that. So the alternate method here would be to scrape away the glass enough to expose, make it flush, make the glass flush with the stub, and then scrape away the coating and then solder just the actual wire to it. And then we'll take this wire and wrap it around, solder to the back of the neck board, and it should accomplish the same function. And if you want to, you can put a quick disconnect on here or something if you ever want to take the neck board off without having to have access to a soldering iron. But yeah, I think we're going to be good, so let's get this back together and see if this is a success. Okay, we're all back on the tube, and let me show you what I did. Our wire there coming off of our repair right there that we soldered onto the broken pin, or what was left of the broken pin, I spliced that into the wire that runs directly into the focus connection on the neck, or on the socket I should say. So that's the way that should be, is that actually runs directly to the focus pin, that connection there. So I soldered that in here, spliced it in, and put some heat shrink on it so it won't short out. And that's basically all you have to do. Now ideally you'd put a quick disconnect in here so you can disconnect it and remove the neck board and chassis from the tube, because right now it's actually connected to it permanently via this wire and this solder job we did. But just for display purposes here, I'll do that later. I wanted to just see if this worked. So that should restore our full focus control. Yeah, so I actually have an MK board here. We're going to plug in, or actually plugged in. We're going to turn on and see if it works. So hopefully that restored our focus control. And let's see. 1, 2, 3. Okay, we got power. Came on. And it's been a minute here since this tube was running. So let's make sure that... oh, hey, we got focus. Look at that. Perfect. Let's make sure we have our full range. Gotta get back here and turn it. Easier said than done. There we go. Okay, so here we go. That's all the way to the right. That's all. Whoa, that's all the way to the left, and we have right there is about perfect. We have full focus control. Outstanding. And there you have it. A successful repair of a neck that with a broken pin. I think in the process of moving this stuff around, I lost the pin. But yeah, I mean, sometimes depending on how much of the actual broken piece is sticking out of the tube, you can scrape away and solder directly to it. But that's not really a permanent fix, because the next time you take the neck board off, it could just break again. So in this instance, what we did was we scraped away some of that. That pin was so recessed in there, I had to scrape away a lot of the glass to get access to it. And then we scraped away enough of the exposed piece to allow us to be able to solder a wire directly to it, and basically put a jumper wire on there to accomplish the same task as the pin was doing. So there you go. If you have a tube with a busted pin, it's not necessarily an automatic paperweight. You can repair it. A little unorthodox, but it gets the job done and accomplishes the same task. And we have a beautiful picture with full in focus, and yeah, fantastic. So this U2000 ended up being a bit more involved. It was working perfectly fine when I turned it on, but it needed caps and a reflow and a flyback, and I had one in stock, so I went ahead and just put one in. And in the process of hooking it back up and testing it, yeah, that pin broke off for the focus, but we got it fixed. It's a little tutorial on how to do that. So that's it. Stay tuned. Appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next repair.